Hello Starfleet Battles players, it's time to replace the video I did for the Starfleet Battles Cadet Scenario 1 Learn to Play using the VASSAL module. So that's what we're going to do today. Starfleet Battles is available at the website starfleetgames.com. Just go to the Starfleet Battles link, that brings you to this page. The stuff for Cadet, or the intro to the game, is free. You can download it via these links here. Get training manual rules, SSDs, and counters. That's for the paper and pen stuff. Now, the VASSAL module is a game engine. So if you go to VASSALengine.com, it's a free game engine that you can play up to about 1,800 different types of board games. And the link for the download is right here. It should automatically give you the link for your operating system. And if you don't see it, you can go into the link here for download VASSAL for other operating systems. You can get the modules under the modules link, and the one that you're looking for is Starfleet Battles Cadet module. And you just download that file. It's under the S section. You'll also see a card game here for Starfleet Battles Force, I believe it is. Yeah, Starfleet Battle Force is a card game, and Starfleet Battles Cadet Training Manual. There is another one for Federation and Empire, but that one is held and hosted directly on the ADB website. But here's the Starfleet Battles Cadet Training Manual. We are up to version 10. And there's a bunch of links and things here where you can get other free stuff for Starfleet Battles. If you want to know what each and every update was, you just click on these little links right here, and it will load up a page that tells you what were the primary changes made for each version. But we now have version 10, and I've got that loaded up. Basically, you load the primary window for VASSAL. It gives you this window. And you would go into Open, Module, browse the location where you've downloaded the version 10 module for Starfleet Battles, and it would load in. And then you would right-click here and actually open the module. And I've done that and opened up scenario number 1. On the menu, you've got various scenarios. And scenario 1 is basically learning how to maneuver your ship. Now there is a bunch of information you can learn about VASSAL up here in the Help menu. You should read the Welcome and First Steps and the designer notes, and you might be interested in the intro videos like this one here, and some module notes and the About screen, etc. But what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be playing the Federation Heavy Cruiser, and we're going to be learning some basic maneuvering and shooting at some drones. Now the SSD looks like this. So we have 3 phaser 1s, one with a left side arc, one with a right side arc, and one with an FA arc, and then 2 photons with an FA arc. There is a little diagram here that shows you what the arcs are. So this little arrow is meant to represent your ship in the middle of a hex, and then those are the firing arcs. So FA is left front plus right front. So that is out this hex row, out that hex row, and in between a 120-degree arc. Now in this first scenario, we're not going to be damaging the SSD, we'll just be using the SSD for what the firing arcs are. So let's just put that SSD on the map so that we can keep that there for a reference. Now, in the Information Tables window, you'll find your weapon sheet, which contains your phaser tables. It also has a firing arc sheet, which shows you the firing arcs. So again, here is left front, right front, and those two together is the FA arc. And this one also shows you what the right rear and what the left rear are. Shows what the forward half and the rear half arcs are. Shows you what an FX is, what an RA is. Again, here's the FA and RX. Here's an L arc, and there's an R arc. And here's the diagram again. So as you can see, LF plus RF is the FA arc. And then we have a drone sheet here which tells you the types of drones. So in this scenario we're going to be using an 8 impulse speed chart, and we're going to be using Cadet 1 drones. So that's C1. So they travel at speed 8. If they hit your ship, they explode for 6. And to kill them, you have to shoot 4 points at the drone. So if we look at the scenario information, it gives you all the rules that you need to read and learn for playing this scenario. It also gives you the information on how to use the controls in the VASSAL module. And we also have the setup for the first scenario. Now when you load the scenario, it already has all these pieces in the positions on the map where you need them, but it's also here in text. And it also gives you the objective of the scenario to shoot down the drones, and then it gives you a walk through for the first turn, and it shows you an instant replay. So for this we are going to need the 8 impulse speed chart, which is this. And the only thing that we're going to be doing on this chart is moving and firing. So I'm going to uncheck those two since we're not going to need them. Now that chart is also here under movement. Here's the 8 impulse chart. Now for this scenario, everything is moving speed 8. The ship is moving speed 8, and the drones are moving speed 8. So that means everything is going to move every impulse. So there's 8 impulses per turn, and everything's moving speed 8. So that means on impulse 1, everything moves. Impulse 2, everything moves, etc., etc. If we were going variable speeds, for instance, if I wanted my ship to go speed 3, I would only move on impulse 3, impulse 6, and on impulse 8. So that's how the impulse chart is called. Now the sequence of play is that you would energy allocate your ship, reveal your speed, and then you would conduct the impulse chart, the impulse movement chart, for each turn, and you would keep playing the turns until you're done. There is an advanced sequence of play where you energy allocate, determine your speed, do a sensor lock on, do the impulse procedure, roll for Klingon mutiny, boarding party combat, and end of turn. But that's for scenarios 7 through 12. And then you start using the 16 impulse chart for some scenarios. That's actually used for scenario 4 through 6. And then you graduate up to the 32 impulse chart, which is what the full game of Starfleet Battles uses. Now this chart here is the same as this 8 impulse chart right here. So I'm just going to briefly show you how it's used. Now this is just a maneuver and fire scenario, so we don't have to do an energy allocation, but if I was going to do an energy allocation, I would right click on my SSD, I would go to show data, and that would bring up a spreadsheet. There is a scroll bar here on the right hand side, but it doesn't show up until you make the window smaller. And I actually recommend that you make the window for this as wide as your computer screen is. And you can pull it down a few more times to make it a little bit smaller. And basically on the first turn, you would count up how much warp you have, how much impulse your ship has, how much atomic power reactor, and you would allocate it. So on this ship, if we take another look at the ship, it's got a left warp engine of 8, right warp engine of 8, impulse engine of 2, and APR atomic power reactors of 2. So we would put that in as 16, 2, 2 for 20. The ship has 2 batteries available, and I've got photon torpedoes. I would arm them for 2 and 2. This is a generic energy allocation form for multiple ships, so I don't have weapons C and D. I could specifically reinforce my shields, generally reinforce my shield, pay for movement, and in this scenario everything is moving speed 8, etc. So this isn't something we have to do for scenario 1, it's kind of assumed automatic, but you'll notice that we have 20 power, and after the bookkeeping basically we would have 8 left. So if we were to fire all 3 of our phasers every turn, that would leave us with 5 left. So we have plenty of power left over in this scenario, which is exactly why they don't have you doing the energy allocation form, because it's a learn scenario for movement and firing arcs. But anyway, what you would do is you would come in, you'd be going speed 8 smooth on the first impulse. So that's my ship and all of the drones. Now you could highlight everything here. Then use your keyboard, Control Shift number 8 to move everything. Or you could open up your units on the map window. And you can move each piece one by one by highlighting it in this window and then using your keypad to determine where everything's going to move. And I'm going to turn the Federation ship. So that's the 2 ways of doing movement. Since the Federation ship just turned, I'm going to put the turn marker right behind it. And you'll notice that units have slime trails. The slime trails will disappear when you mark your units as moved. So it's best to keep your turn marker and side slip marker handy. Let's see. Yeah, mark moved is what turns it on and off. Movement trail, there we go. So that was movement. So the next stage after movement would be fire stage. Nothing's happening here for fire. Next impulse of movement. So again, we could highlight everything. Control Shift to move everything. So that was movement and no fire. So impulse 3 movement. Again, everything's still highlighted, so I'm just going to move them all again. And we will go to fire stage. Still, we're not going to fire yet. Impulse 4, movement. Now at this point, this drone is about to start getting farther away from me. And this drone is about to start getting farther away. So this was movement stage, fire stage. Now in a multiple player game, you would pull up your public-private notes window. You would pull up the delayed tab. You would create a new note, and you would label it fire stage. And here I'm going to fire phaser 1 number 2 at drone, and you could either put in the hex number or the label of the drone if you know what the drone label is. Here I'm just going to say range 2 drone. And you would click OK. And you notice nothing's showing up in chat yet. When you click save, it says that I've created a message for fire stage. So your opponent would see that you've got something that you're going to do on fire stage. They could determine whether or not they want to do something on fire stage as well, or before that, etc. And then you would come back in and you would reveal it. And then your opponent can go into this window, click on the message, and they would see what it is. Now, unfortunately, this does not echo it as a chat window, so you should go in, highlight it, and paste it so that it's in your chat record. So at this point, we're going to fire the left side phaser at a drone. So we're rolling 1d6, and I roll a 5. So if I bring up my weapon chart, and we look at range 2, what a roll of a 5 is, it's 4 points of damage. And 4 points is all that it takes to kill a drone, so that drone is destroyed. Now you notice I have the option for destroyed or delete. If I do destroyed, it does that. And I unfortunately had everything highlighted, so let me undo that. It took a few undos to get that back. So let me advance that back to the point to the movement where we actually were. That's where we were. And I do believe we had fired. Let me scroll that back up. We've done that on impulse 4, so let me advance that back up to impulse 4. There we go, so we're back to where we were supposed to be. So be careful when you're marking something destroyed or deleting it. Make sure you've only got the one unit highlighted. So again, that would be destroyed, and that's what delete does. Okay, so let's highlight all our units again and go to the next movement. So all the ships move. Now we've got a drone here at range 2. I've got an FA phaser unfired, and I've got a right side phaser unfired. So if I fire the right side and I don't do enough damage, I would have to turn my ship to bring the other phaser to bear, because the next move is going to take that drone outside of the FA arc. So I am going to fire my FA phaser. That way if I miss with it, next turn I've got my right side, or next impulse I've got my right side phaser. So let's fire another phaser. So again, you go in here, you do new, fire stage, phaser 1, number 1 at drone range 2. Save it. Your opponent sets up their fire as well. You come back in here and you would reveal it. And I've copied it. I'm pasting it into chat. So roll another die. And I roll a 2. And as we saw at range 2, anything but a 6 will do at least 4 damage. So at range 2, I do a 2, that's 6 damage, that's gone boom. Make sure you've only got the one unit highlighted, not everything. And I'm just going to go to delete. So I've got 3 drones, and they're all up here. And they're all heading roughly to the left. Okay, so next impulse. Again, everything moves. Next impulse. Now these drones, I know that they're not targeted on me. That's part of the scenario, so I can go to range 0 with them. So Impulse 7, movement. I'm now at range 0 with the drone. The drone came in off of my number 6 shield, so it's within the FA arc of my phaser. But oh, wait a minute. I fired my FA arc phaser, didn't I? Let's go back and review that. Did I fire my right side phaser? I think I did. Or was it my FA phaser? Whoops, here it is here. Number 1. So I fired my number 1 and my number 2. That means I don't have a phaser that can arc. Oh my! So the benefit was an assured kill on the other drone, but it means on this one I can't use my right side phaser because it doesn't arc yet. So fire stage, nothing. Impulse 8, everything moves. Now I am at range 2 of this drone. So again, plot the public-private notes, create another one. Fire stage. It's going to be a phaser 1. It's going to be phaser number 3 at drone range 2. And this is Impulse 8, turn 1. So it's always a good idea to do turn and impulse labels because it doesn't let you do the same name twice. Notice here I did capital fire stage and here I did small letter fire stage, so we didn't notice it yet. So always put in your turn and impulse on your actual stage. That'll make things a little easier. Let me copy that. Bang. So there you go. It's in there. It's now revealed and saved. And echo it into chat. So let's roll that phaser. And I roll a 4, and as we know, anything but a 6 kills it. So I got 2 drones left. And we should have actually moved that to fire stage on Impulse 8, but not that important. And then we would energy allocate, so at this point we would put the power back into the phasers. Next segment of movement, everything moves. Now, if I were to go to next impulse, it's the ships move first, and then the seeking weapons move second. So that means that if I were to go forward with the Federation and then the drone moved to the same hex, it would be coming in off of my number 5 shield. So my right side phaser couldn't hit it, and my FA phaser couldn't hit it, but my left side phaser could. So that was Impulse 1, fire stage of Impulse 1, Impulse 2 for movement. So let's do Impulse 2 for movement. Okay, so that drone is now at range 0. And if we look at our range chart, it's a guaranteed hit at range 1 and at 0. So that drone is going to die. Now, as you notice, it's on top of me, so I've got a choice of double-clicking, and then grabbing the drone, moving it off, and then deleting it. Or I could have gone up into the units on map, highlighted it, and then done the deletion from there. Okay, and that should have happened on fire stage. Okay, so Impulse 3, everything moves. So we're going to move the drone forward, and we're going to turn the Federation ship. We're going to advance to fire stage as we should have been doing every time we've been firing. And on this impulse, we are at range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the drone. So if we take a look at the range chart, range 5, minimum damage is 2 for a phaser 1. We have 2 phaser 1s we can fire. So at this impulse, we're going to fire 2 phaser 1s, and it's an automatic kill, and the drone is destroyed. That's scenario 1. So let's close that game. And let's open scenario 2. Now scenario 2 is similar. You've got multiple drones on the map. You've got your ship on the map. And let's take a look at this scenario. So you'll learn a bunch more rules. Shields, determining what shield's been hit, rules for photons, seeking weapons, legal hexes for movement for the drones, non-legal hexes for movement for the drones, etc., etc. And then you have the setup. So in this scenario, unlike scenario 1, the drones are targeted on the ship. So if they hit the ship, they will explode. On this one, we're supposed to energy allocate. Actually, sorry, on this one we're not yet supposed to energy allocate, but I did notice that this is an SSD that is older. If you actually, it's an older save game. So if you actually grab the newer one, put it on the map right beside it, you'll see here I've got show data at the top, and the menu is just a little bit slightly different order. And this is an older one. It doesn't have the show data, and it's a little bit less organized kind of thing. It's still a valid SSD. It's still exactly the same for usage. It's just older. But here, let me get rid of that for now and just move the new one over. This scenario was saved back around version 4 or something like that, so it's got the older graphic SSD on it. The newer scenarios have got the newer SSDs, but if you ever come across an older SSD that's preloaded in a scenario, you can just do what I did, delete it and load the new one. Again, on this one, your maximum speed, there's no energy allocation on this one. It's assumed everything's going to be rearmed and everything. This one, basically, the drones are targeted on you. So again, we could pull up the impulse chart, but we all know that the ship's going speed 8, the drones are going speed 8, everything's going to move every impulse. So let's forgo the impulse calls and just simply move everything. So, first impulse. While the drones move. Now, I could fly to the center and try and engage them, or I can fly to the left and try and engage them, which is what I'm going to do. So let me turn the Federation ship. And I've got a turn marker, so let me put that on the map. The drones move. Federation ship moves. The drones move. Federation ship moves. The drones move, and the Federation ship is going to move as well, but it's going to turn. Now this drone would move after the ship, so it would move here or here. It's not going to matter. I'm going to fire my left side phaser at it. Left side phaser at range 1. It's guaranteed hit, or guaranteed kill. So let's just highlight that one drone. and it's destroyed. Okay, so next impulse. Everything moves. Federation moves. Next impulse. This drone would probably turn in at this point. That drone would probably turn in as well. Federation's just going to go forward. This one's going to turn up. This one can still go forward. Same here. Same here. Now the slime trails give you a benefit. You can verify how many times things have moved. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it looks like I've moved everything. And we will be on impulse 6, so there's 2 impulses left of the turn. Okay, so next impulse, the Federation ship is going to move forward. This drone's going to move forward. And this drone it could move to either spot. I'm going to turn it. So here we fired the left side phaser already. I'll fire the FA phaser at this drone right beside me. It's a range 1 shot. It's a guaranteed kill. And then we got a range 1, 2, 3 shot at this one, which we will have to roll for because at range 3, anything but a 6 kills it. So let's roll a die. And a roll of 2, so that's destroyed as well. And I forgot to put my turn marker there, because we did turn up. I just realized my first turn on the Fed, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I actually moved my ship a little early here. Let's verify I've moved the drones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, so all the drones have got to move one more time. There, that would be impulse 8. And again, you'd reallocate your ship. Here again, all the phasers are armed and ready to go. The right side phaser 1 and the FA would have a 1/4 turn period before I could fire them again. So that would be 2 impulses. But anyway, first impulse that moves, I'm going to turn the Federation, put the turn marker down, and move all the drones. Now if I move the Federation forward, it's going to get hit. But I got 4 drones on me. These drones whoops, I'm at the weapon table. Drones. C1 drones do 6 damage. So my shields can take 6 damage, no problem. Matter of fact, if I were energy allocating my ship, as we saw, we probably have about 5, 6 points left over. I could probably absorb the hit with batteries. But anyway, and I got these 3 drones over here. So, next impulse I move forward, I'm just going to let this drone hit me. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage to the shield. And these drones move. Okay, next impulse. The Federation moves. Let me delete these. Don't really need them on the map anymore. Drone moves. Those two drones move. Next impulse. Federation turns again. And considering the size of my shields, next impulse, the Federation moves. I simply let the drone hit me. Still no internal damage. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Next impulse, Federation moves forward. Drone moves. Drone moves. I've got two unfired phaser 1s. It's range 1. I fire them both. One at each drone. And at range 1, it's a guaranteed shot of 4. Both drones die. And that's scenario 2. Scenario 3, where things get a little bit more interesting. The Klingon has got to come in and it's got to destroy these 4 freighters. So, what I'm going to do, since this video has gone 30 minutes, 38 minutes actually, I'll end this video here, since I combined the first 2 scenarios, and I'll make another video for scenario 3. So, have fun playing Starfleet Battles. If you like the video, click like, share it on social media, and if you're really tickled by it, you can always do a donation through PayPal. Have fun!